Hey guys, what's up? It's Mike Lee, and I'm out here with
TrizzyEBaby, Troy Ewers, man. What's good?
What's going on, bro? Thanks for taking the time to interview me, bro.
Man, thanks for making it, bro.
Bro, it's like it's basically a summer day, bro. We outside, we got a pool in the background.
Yeah, I chose a place that was gonna not only look beautiful, possibly be a little bit more refreshing. You know what I mean? Something nice, something
nice
like
and easy. Okay, I was like, okay. I came over, I was like, okay.
Yeah, man. We're on the south side of San Jose, undisclosed location.
Yeah, like you don't know where we at. I turn off my location, everything. It's like we had to, make sure it's a real raw and uncut interview.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, man. So talk to me, bro. Like, so tell me about you. Like, what are you working on? Like, what do you do? Like,
well, I mean, what I do is I'm a audio engineer.
Okay.
I manage artists. I write, a bunch of stuff. I write film. I write freelance articles. I sometimes will write music for artists, depending on who the artist is. Working on mostly film now because that's been a dream of mine since I was a kid.
Okay.
But music's always around. Like, always around. So even if you see me 100% in movies, just know, like, I'm working with somebody on the side, like, helping, giving them advice, doing something. So it's really just music and film. And I think right now, I'm doing a great job doing a balancing act or two.
Right.
And I think even with other stuff that I've done, like, in the past, like, when I was coming up, me and my friends, we were just, in their room making music, and I was like, turn the camera on over here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just like, finding that little balance between the two has been dope. And then adding new things like sports and making that part of my freelance article work. So where now, okay, I work over here with these sports media people. It's just like diverse. It's really diversifying everything, but it's doing things I love. Like,
right.
If I could say there's one thing that I do, it's I do what I want, and that's not some big like I throw stuff, and I do throw things, but I don't just like slam my fist on the table and say we're doing this. Nah, I do what I want in the most humble way possible. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, do you have a podcast, right?
Yeah, this is my second time doing a podcast, but this one is selfishly named the TrizzyEBaby podcast. And
shameless plug.
Yeah, the reason it's got that name is my first podcast was called The Blunt Conversation.
Okay.
And clever title, if anybody's into marijuana, easy thing to get. But then I was like, when it came to this new one, the show at the longest is 25 minutes.
Okay.
15-minute show on the shortest day. I was like, they're getting so much of Troy. They're getting so much of this Trizzy character that is like, there's nothing else to call it. There's no clever title. There's no anything. The TrizzyEBaby podcast. And I got my boy Captain Kirkland, who was like, if we were the Howard Stern show, he'd be my Robin. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we've done a good job kind of curating this new age of journalism when it comes to music.
Right.
I grew up on Double XL. I grew up on The Source. I grew up on even MTV, like in the middle of a commercial. Blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah did this today. And it's like they would talk about music.
Right.
And you're like, oh, that's kind of missing. Like everything's TMZ.
Right.
Even Double XL, they're going to tell you about Travis and Kylie before they actually get to Travis's album. Right. And I was just like, nah, the podcast needs to be a more real form of journalism.
Right. Okay.
It needs to have it needs to be a credible form of journalism. So before I even talk on that mic, it sounds like I'm winging it with Baker, but we're checking our sources. That's a huge part of everything. We're checking to see if things are even going through. The reason I talked about the Rick Ross album for 3 weeks is because anything else that happened that week wasn't even credible.
Right.
Like, you look it up, it didn't even matter. They were just making rumors. The Rick Ross stuff was not only... That's how I knew about the Pusha T verse.
Right.
before it got announced when the album came out that it wasn't there.
Right,
I was like,
right.
because Pusha's talking about that he's working on this, and Ross is just doing the research, is bringing that form of journalism really back. And everybody talks about fake news.
Right.
I think you really are getting your most fake news in the things we like.
Right.
Like, yeah, you're getting it in important stuff, but if you dive hard enough, you can swift through that very quick. In music and entertainment, they know you're not going to do anything past this bar level of research. Right. So they're like, you know what? Give them this.
Right. Just throw some out there for them to, kind of feed on.
Yeah, and it's weird because people come up to me and they're like, oh, I did think this about this, and I agreed with you on this point, but are you sure this is true? And I'm like, yeah, and we'll have a conversation about it. And that's what the TrizzyEBaby podcast is about. It's about bringing music and music appreciation to journalism.
Got it.
Because I feel like it was becoming all gossip magazines again. Right. You know what I mean? Which is crazy.
Right. Have you been in music your whole life? Like, how did you?
Well, that is the thing. I was always like a theater kid growing up.
Right.
So even as like an elementary school kid, I was like, oh, when I wasn't even doing theater, it was just like, oh, I'd have a CD and I'd sit in my room and just read the credits. I'd read who did what. It's why Pharrell is one of my favorite people of all time, because in the early 2000s, you open it up, he's on someone's album. Right. Somewhere, whether he produced it, wrote a song, or he was a feature, he was somewhere on it. And it was just like, man, this dude's great. But that's where all this music love comes from. It's like, all right, I'll grab a magazine and be engulfed in that. Right. And then when I got to middle school, it was like, you know what, let me actually try theater. Let me try doing plays. Let me try to be in the talent show. I was recently at Oak Grove yesterday for a little ceremony we had for a teacher. Okay. And so many alumni came now, and people are doing big things now. Some people are doing small things, but it was really cool that one of the people that I didn't know was even before high school. And it was in 7th grade. Well, I met him in 7th grade, but in 8th grade we did a talent show where we rapped. And literally every person in that group went on to do something dope. I went on to do my stuff.
You can swear in the podcast.
Oh, I could? Yeah, swag. Yeah. Shit. Ass.
Let them know.
But I did my stuff. Cheeto became a Dallas Cowboy, literally starting a cornerback for the Dallas Cowboys right now. Go Cowboys. And then Jaden, he is about to, enter the draft this year. He played at University of Nevada. So at the end of this year, he's going to be in the same position Cheeto is, and to think these two were my rapping mates in 8th grade, which we didn't even want to do until we thought about the idea in yearbook class. Right, okay. And even yearbook class is writing articles about people. Right. Everything I've done always has kind of foreshadowed this. I auditioned for Nickelodeon in 8th grade. I failed miserably. But I got nervous. But they thought I was funny because the reason I failed is I didn't read anything on their list.
Oh, really?
I just improv'd everything, and I thought that's what they wanted. They're like, you're funny, but you didn't do anything we said. Right. But it was just the simple thing of, yeah, man, music's been in my life. Entertainment's been in my life. I tell my best friends, like, dude, I was writing my own versions of Monday Night Raw. Right. Okay. And then acting it out with the wrestlers. So the moment I knew wrestling was fake wasn't like a dying day for me. It was actually the best thing possible, because now while Monday Night Raw is on, I'm matching my 2 hours with theirs. Right. And it's like entertainment's just been there since day one. Right.
Okay. Who are some people in the Bay that you like working with? I know you said you manage artists, right? You said
yes.
That? Who are some artists that you're managing? Who are some people that you love working with? And then maybe we'll talk about who are some people that you look up to as well. Okay. So let's start first with the artists that you manage. Like, who are you managing right now?
Right now, I'm no one on paper.
Okay.
No one that I've signed, but that's just because I like the amount of independence that these artists have.
Right.
So with a guy like Brevin Rowan, I met him a year and a half ago.
Right.
And I could have easily just put him on paper and we could have been running. And I tried too. But it was simple, like when you notice after a couple months that he's better off making these things himself. He doesn't need to go do 3 shows and go promote. No, he's got his section. I just need to go sneak off and tell people about him.
Right.
And helping out a guy named Trauma Fresh right now because I believe in that hip hop.
Right.
I believe that like we're in an era where and this is the classic battle between like pop and hip, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I just think, you know, Bay Area is built off underground hip hop, hieroglyphics. E40 counts as underground hip hop, and Independence, you know, Too Short counts as that. Yeah, they've gone on to be mainstream people, but look at where it's rooted. It's all rooted in their underground. So when I see Bay Area people specifically, we're quick to jump on the Atlanta sound or jump on any other sound that isn't us. It's like, nah, you gotta remember, even the most hippity hip hop stuff is us. So I'm helping him get his little shine in there. And other people I'm just helping, you know what I'm saying? Eli, throwing little things with him. Baker, doing little things with him. Your guys, Wushay.
Yeah.
Love working with them. Real quick story about them. The first time I met them, Flammy Marciano, a past artist that I worked with and one of my best friends since 3rd grade, he comes back to the studio and he's like, I just did an EDM record. And I was like, dope. Like, look at us. Like, we are out here.
Yeah.
And he plays it and keep in mind, in the studio, there's like none but hood dudes, blah, blah, blah. And he just plays it. He's just so excited that he plays it. And it's a song called Crimson. And the song starts going. Flammy starts rapping. And then it gets into that real like EDM break. And some high-ass dude in the background just goes, yo, this sounds like Fast and Furious. And it really did sound that cinematic. Like, I wasn't going to say how cinematic it sounded because, you know, this is my artist. He's coming with it. But for a third party to just come in and be like, man, you made like a Fast and Furious like movie record. Like, I could see the whole action sequence towards that. It was like, made my heart melt because that goes to show they're both, that talent that they both have. Wushay just made their thing. They would have released that with him on it or with the female on it. It didn't matter. Flammy just went and laid his bars. And for people to say it sounded cinematic, and this was right before Skrillex and Rick Ross had Purple Lamborghini.
Right, okay. Yeah.
This is before that. So for that to happen, and then I was working at a movie theater at the time, Suicide Squad to come out and that song be so prevalent, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
These guys have a little bit of foresight, and especially Charlie and Will. Their foresight was amazing. Like, let's start putting rappers on EDM stuff. Like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Okay, like, why not?
Yeah, why not?
And they're very smart. I love working with them because every time I work with Will or Charlie, it's a at minimum 2-hour music conversation.
Yeah.
And I love that. And so when it comes to just who I work with out here, it's all about like, how much are we talking?
Right. Like,
how much are we, and I don't mean money, I mean how literal, how much. Like, you and me, we've had many a talks. I could probably work with you a billion of times just because I know as soon as we clock out, we're hanging out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how I base my life. And that's how I base the artist I work on. If you can't sit in that studio for more than an hour and you're jumpy and you're just ready to go to the club or something, then you know what? Have a good day. Yeah,
because I mean, like, we're out here really putting that work, right?
It's how I've always based it. So we gotta hustle like we're broke.
Right, 100%.
We gotta hustle like we're broke, and even if we are broke, now you actually have to hustle like you're broke.
Yeah.
Some of us get a couple dollars and think, "Oh man, we're good." No. Sorry. So that's just, when it comes to people I work with now, that's what I'm.
Okay. Who are some artists that you really like look up to? Like, who are you looking up to right now that's kind of like, okay, it could be a big name person or someone in your family. Like, who are you looking up to?
It's weird because my friends will tell you, if like you talk to any of my best friends who don't work in any of this shit, like I hang out at my friend James's garage like once a week just to stay sane.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you I talk about my influences all the time.
Yeah.
And they've been the same people since I want to say 6 years old.
Okay.
Jay-Z.
Okay.
For the simple reason of, I know it seems kind of trendy now, but he was talking about ownership and business since his first album.
Yeah.
I've always paid attention to that. Pharrell, because as a dumb 6th grader who was getting into trouble,
right,
and just who was getting into trouble because you're out with your friends and you think that's what you're supposed to do, but you're getting home and you're reading autobiographies about people, like actors, like Norman Rockwell, and like painters, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just reading about art, and he's over here talking about you can do it too. He has a whole song where the first verse is like, yeah, I'm in the Wraith, I'm doing all this balling shit, and then you get to the third verse and he's like, no, this came from hard work. Right. I was in marching band, I was a skateboarder, everything you see me do. And it's like, wow, I was that 6th grader who took that so literal that I kind of made an effort to like not get in trouble. I still got in a lot of trouble as I got older, but it was at that moment I was like, you need to do that. You need to be this person. And then I guess the final two people who I really idolize, other than Jay and Pharrell, Quentin Tarantino. Okay. From the moment I saw his first movie, Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, great movie, dude.
It's been my favorite. From the moment
love Tarantino
to I just watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood last week. It's amazing. By the way, it's my 3rd time watching the movie. I watched it the day it came out on the matinee. It was great. But he's just like, he has the career that I've always thought. I don't like going out, and when I do, I sit down in a corner and just stand around like 3 of my friends, and then while they're having the best time of their life, I'm just, drinking a whiskey sour, kicking it. You know what I'm saying? Just like enjoying my time. But I'm with my friends, you know what I'm saying? I may be talking to a girl. It's just I'm in the mix, but I'm not too in the mix. And exactly. I like that he represents that in Hollywood.
Right.
He's so deep in the mix, like only someone that deep and talented gets Margot Robbie, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Brad Pitt, and Al Pacino in one film.
Right.
And they all play big roles.
Right. Was Samuel Jackson there at all?
No.
I know he loves Samuel Jackson.
This is crazy. There's no Samuel L. Jackson, and there's a part where I thought he was gonna come out.
Yeah.
There's a part where I thought he was gonna come out, and he doesn't. But my last, and this is a very weird, abstract influence. It's Gerard Carmichael, the comedian. He's a comedian and a really profound thinker in my mind. He had a show called The Gerard Carmichael Show on NBC. He's executive produced a couple other big shows like Rami on Hulu, Rel that was on Fox. And it's weird. And he was also featured just talking throughout the last Tyler album. Tyler, the Creator. And it was like, when I first saw his stand-up, I just thought he was funny.
Right.
And I watched it with a person who loved stand-up, and the person who loved stand-up didn't think he was funny. And I loved it because I was laughing my ass off. He was saying just dumb stuff, just hilarious dumb stuff, and I was like, oh, he's good. And then his second one came out, and then it was like really thought-provoking, and I was like, hold on, this is deeper than I think anybody's gonna give him credit for. And then I hear him in interviews, and I'm like, oh no, he's playing a game that no stand-up comedian would even do.
Right.
No stand-up comedian would do. And I related so much to how he approached his work. Because he approached his work almost as if I'm just going where the wind takes me. Wherever all this goes, it goes. And I'm very that way. When I work on the podcast, it was never to be like, oh, we're gonna get 1,000 plays each episode. No. I said to Baker, I was like, dude, this podcast has to be something to where until I hate you, I'm gonna be here every Monday recording.
Right.
So until I hate him, I'll be there tomorrow on Labor Day. You know what I'm saying? I'll be everywhere with him.
Yeah.
I did on my own birthday. I went over there. The only day I think we took off was my mom's birthday.
Yeah.
But that was it. It's like, literally, I love work. And I know it. And Gerard Carmichael, made me realize, oh, when you love this work, just do everything. Stand-up comedians always think they gotta stay in this one box. Nah. If he were to stay in this one box, he would have never been on that Tyler the Creator album. Right. And half the things he's saying on that Tyler the Creator album, they're not funny.
Right.
They're actually very sad. And one of my favorite quotes is the most saddest thing you ever could picture when it comes to art. You know, I hate wasted potential. That shit crushes your spirit.
Right.
That does. And I see it repeatedly. And so that's where my influences, Jay-Z, Pharrell, Tarantino, and Gerard Carmichael, they're not wasted potential.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a big part of what gravitates me towards people. When it comes to peers, it's like you inspire. You know what I'm saying? Like myself, we literally sat in the studio and was just like, I watched the interview with you and Will, and I was like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Good job. Like, the first question was just solid, because I know that's going to send Will off on a tangent. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, you know him. I'm inspired by that. I'm inspired by people who, when they know they have talent, when they know they have potential, bro, that's inspiring. I don't care how big you are.
Yeah.
There's cats on my phone right now who have thousands of plays on SoundCloud, are selling records. Shoot, there's a person on my phone who works in the business, who works top notch in the business. They don't inspire me because they rather do less than their potential, and that saddens me. It really does.
So people that feel like they're wasting their potential. Mm. Like, what advice do you give to that? Like, is it more like, you know, go out, do it? Like, what is it?
I advise people to spend time with themselves.
Okay, what does that mean?
Go for a walk by yourself. Spend time in a room by yourself. Do something, because I had to learn this over time. I tried to surround myself with friends. I tried to surround myself with people. I tried to surround myself with a bunch of things that, you know what I mean? And then I realized I was doing their dreams. I was doing things they wanted to do. I was taking in their interests, which is good. It's good to be a sponge, but when you notice it's toxic, when you notice, oh, I'm taking in their habits, and their habits is we're going to drink as soon as it turns a reasonable hour. Right. I don't even know if that means 5 p.m., but as soon as it means it's a reasonable hour, we're going to start drinking. And then until it's 10 p.m., you are probably drinking. What are you talking about? Whatever is clever. But as soon as 10 p.m. happens, we're on this strange hunt for the night.
Right.
And whatever comes through that, you just enjoy. I realized very quick, I like a little bit of that.
Right.
I'd rather show up for the chase part after I wrote 5 pages.
Right.
After we shot like a skate park.
Right.
After I did the podcast, I'd rather do all that funniness later.
Yeah.
But if you don't know that's not your thing, you find out very quickly, like, oh man, I'm gonna go do what my friends do because they're my homies. Wasting potential is not listening to yourself. Wasting potential is always gonna tell you what you should be doing. For years, my own body and people around me who loved me were like, yo, do something on your own.
Right.
You're always helping somebody out.
Right.
The podcast was a great way to dip my toe in it. In the Crates last season, a YouTube show I did, was a great way to dip my toe into being solo. Yeah, there were other hands in that pie.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you look at the IP, that's me.
Right. Right.
And it takes being by yourself. In the Crates was because I was in my room by myself looking at the records, and after something negative happened in the business for me, I got a little bit depressed.
Right.
And I'm in my room and I look at those thing of records like, and before it became ooh, this is an idea, it was just like, you wasted all this money.
Right.
On vinyl?
Right.
You're nothing. And then it was like, turn it into something you love. That's how you could stop yourself from wasting potential. Wasting talent is take something you love, but you don't even find out your interest. You don't find out what you love until you spend a little bit of time inward by yourself. It's the best thing to do. I look crazy right now. I'm dressed crazy, but it's because I spend so much time with myself. Who am I impressing? That's real. Who am I impressing at the end of the day?
Let's just kind of talk about that. You mentioned kind of about depression. So, a lot of people deal with depression different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you kind of keep yourself going, right? Because you deal with a lot of rejection, right, in your industry.
Yeah.
You go for auditions, people tell you no. You have an artist who does some dumb shit, right?
And they're gonna reject a lot of things.
And they're gonna reject a lot of things you say. Like, even with your podcast, people go, "Well, I don't know how I feel about this," right? If they do, and it's like
some people do,
and some people do, and it's like how do you deal with that? Like, how do you cope? Like, what really gets you through those situations?
That is a great question, because it's something that I'm struggling with, but it's so much better than it ever was, because how I'm dealing with it is I take breaks.
Yeah.
I take breaks. Rejection used to be the scariest thing to me.
Right.
Rejection used to be that thing that like stopped me from writing.
Right.
So literally in the middle of writing, I'd be like, no one's ever gonna read this. And then you go down that dark rabbit hole of, well, if no one's gonna read it, you're gonna be a failure, blah 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 blah.
Right.
Until I realized the rejection was my greatest superpower. Anytime I've gotten rejected for one thing, my next best thing came about. The reason I even started a record label when I was 24 now, the reason I started one was because after I did an internship for a rock studio, and they wouldn't let me move up from the internship, I said, what? I'm better than you guys. Not in terms of talent, in terms of what I can bring to a table. I know about the business. I know, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, let me show you. Rejection is what gets me to start the film company, Studio 8. Me, my friend McBride, and my friend Jonathan, we leave this one media place because not really of rejection, but it felt like rejection because your ideas, which are for a group, become for one person. So you feel like, okay, you rejected the people, but not the idea. And so we were like, hold on. No. We are the key parts of this machine.
Right.
And we showed it. And the Crates was a direct declaration of this is that planting of the flag. Boom. We told you. You know what I'm saying? We told you. Rejection has caused that forever. I was recently rejected with a project a couple weeks ago. I'm handling it way better than I used to because of the past experiences. But now the way I'm handling it now is take a step back, get my team in order. Don't let them make a desperate decision, because I know I have back in the day. It's like the way to handle it now is I just take a step back, I breathe, I do things that make me happy, like skateboarding, like watch movies, and then I attack, and I attack blind, but smart. What I mean blind is I don't look left, I don't look right, I'm looking straight.
Yeah, it's like blinders on.
Yeah, that's exactly what that is. And anybody who's on that horse with me, I tell them, you're looking straight. And I've always been able to develop a team. Always been able to develop a team. Even when their first project doesn't go well, I've always been able to develop a team. But that's because, again, dealing with rejection, dealing with depression, dealing with all these things, you have friends. You have people to raise you up. So I feel like I need to return the favor. Guess what? You raised me up in this time. All right, get on this. The second thing we're about to make is about to be 10 times better than even the idea for the last one. And it's all about attack. Take a step back, look at the field, and then attack. That's my way of dealing with rejection.
Yeah. Let's talk about teams too. Like, so there's a lot of people that watch this YouTube series.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are like entrepreneurs, or a lot of them want to get into business, or how do you kind of talk about building this team, like finding the right people? Like, is it more of like, hey bro, I don't really know you, but let's try something? Or is it like, hey man, I don't know you, but I'm gonna get to know you, and then I'm gonna think about bringing you on?
Well, I've failed both ways with both those two ways, and I've also greatly passed. It's weird. It's the reason I've been able to develop teams very well is I'm not afraid to give the person with zero experience a chance.
Right.
And that's whether I know you or I don't know you.
Right.
I'm never afraid to do, and I don't know why. That's a really anomaly to me. Because I love people though, is why I'm always able to work with them. I think the greatest thing the universe has ever given us is an opposing opinion.
Right.
So I'd rather people say, no, that's garbage, and fight me on it.
Right.
Please do.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if you're right, the product's better.
Right.
If you're wrong, I'm just gonna be like, I was right.
Right. Yeah.
Which for me doesn't mean anything to you.
Right.
But I could write in my journal at the end of the day, told this nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day in my journal, it could be like, yep, I knew it. We gotta go back tomorrow and reshoot that.
Right.
Happens.
Right.
But the reason I am able to develop a team is just simply because I'm okay with opposing opinion.
Right.
I'm okay with ideas. And if you're an entrepreneur, you should probably, whether you know the person or not, listen to how they talk about ideas. If every idea they say is some grandiose idea and they have no way of getting there,
right,
listen to them, shake your head, and then get the hell away from them.
Right.
If they're saying some things that are grandiose but have a path, all right, listen to them, but work with them on the way. And the moment you notice that they actually don't know what they're doing, then hop off. But if you see someone with reasonable ideas, grandiose, non-grandiose, if they're reasonable, they're talking about something just for this project that's reasonable and that any person can get to, you listen, and then your argument should be about how do we take that thing that anybody could get to and make it so unobtainable for them, but it's super unattainable for us. And that's how I treat it. And it sounds a little confusing, but it's really not. I'm always taking very practical ideas and comparing them to Netflix.
Right.
Comparing them to Disney.
Mm-hmm.
That's why everything I say, when people say, oh man, that sounds like a crazy idea, how is that ever going to work? And it's like, it's not crazy, because they're doing it. These big companies are doing it. Right. It's just crazy for us because we don't have a $1 billion budget.
Right.
So let's take away the $1 billion budget. How can we do it on our own time?
Right.
The best thing I remember was when it came to In the Crates last year, it was dropping those 3 pictures that had that you didn't know. They didn't say In the Crates on them. We just put the date in the caption and moved on. And it was me holding records, but each picture had something to do with the record I was holding. So the first picture is, me in the middle of a basketball court with blue shorts, a white tee, and an NERD hat on. Okay, and the record on the bottom is In Search Of, one of my favorite albums of all time. That whole thing, even how I'm dressed, is from the Rockstar video, which was the single for that album. So if you know what you're looking at, you're like, hold on. He referenced the album. I'm in damn near the exact outfit that Pharrell was in the Change Clothes video when I'm holding the Black album, which was the single for the Black album, Change Clothes. The Gwen Stefani one, we couldn't really reenact that much because we didn't have a marching band. Right. I did go to the football field, and I just stood on the football field, and the only difference between the clothes I wore and Pharrell wore was the color of shirt. And if you saw those 3 pictures, they probably didn't make a thing of sense. But the moment the commercial came out, and you saw In the Crates, and you saw me walking into the record store, those 3 pictures clicked.
Right.
And then when you see the flyer that says In the Crates, and I think in this house there might be the flyer. What's crazy is that that's just planned off of a Netflix scheme. They drop 3 pictures of the character, usually has Netflix in the corner and a date. Then you get some random one-take trailer that, it's so mysterious, but it says the whole show in it. And then boom, the day of the drop, you get this poster that says everything you just saw with the entire season. We had some fumbles. We couldn't get the entire season. We tried. We tried to get. It was a 4 episodes, but we tried to do it. We got 2 the first week.
Okay. We
got 2 episodes out the first week, so you got to watch half the season over a weekend, and it was great.
Dope.
But it was like, the budget on that marketing campaign was the gas money to my friends.
Right. You guys got to create something awesome.
Something awesome. Something that for me, it's really hard to not top, but I'm not going to duplicate.
Right.
I'd rather do a different experience. But I'm just saying, when it comes to working with people, when I mean the budget we had was just their gas money. That was it. Those records I had, the wardrobe you see I had, the pictures and video are taken off of an iPhone. My boy edited it for the free. It's like, it was just a beautiful experience. It's like, it's not about finding people in your price range. It's okay, let's take a grandiose idea or a practical one and make it our own.
Right.
You gotta form that clay on your own time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's funny. I was you probably follow 50 Cent on Instagram.
Oh, of course.
Funniest guy on Instagram.
I owe him money too.
Hey, got my money by Monday. Y'all should follow 50 Cent on Instagram. Dude is hilarious. So you know his show Power? He just did. He just redid the entire soundtrack.
Ooh.
Instead of with Joe, he did it with Trey Songz.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I got some feelings on that.
Yeah, I got feelings about that too. 5 years, right? But the thing is the fact that if you read through what he says, Trey Songz did it as a favor. He didn't charge him for it, he did it for free. And it's these things that people are collaborating. Like, they all got bread, right? I was looking at the... there was a big... I like to watch Breakfast Club.
Me too.
I was looking at that whole E40 album when he first dropped his album.
Yeah.
He had people that were like, hey, I just want to collab. I'll do it for free. I just want to get this thing going. I'll do it for free. Right?
He did.
And he was even talking about, various other things. Where, you work with these people. Okay, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. And it's everyone in this industry, they're all just trying to make really awesome things.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's music, content, and anything like that, and people are creating like platforms just like this, right? Like for this is a platform that I made to help inspire people to do more and meet with people who aren't inspirational like yourself and all the other people that I've interviewed. It's like, hey, there's someone out there who is going through the same shit you're going through or has gone through the same shit you're going through right now. Yeah. And they can lend a hand. Yeah. Or they can give you some advice, so they can tell you, hey, they can tell you that. Fun fact, actually, Trizzy's been working with my sister and doing some new stuff in music production. Yes. And the first thing I said to him was, I'm not going to come to you with some shit that ain't rocking. He did. I said, dude, like, I'm gonna come to you. I said, I know it's my sister, and I'm not just gonna put her on because she's my sister. I'm putting her on because she's good. And then, man, when we hit the studio, man, he was like, oh shit, yeah, like, he was like, all right, cool. And that's the way I create relationships with everyone. I think, and real quick on that point, it's how professional she was too. That's people when they get a little bit of a push. Because you were just putting her in the studio with two people who, know what they're talking about. But it was just like, to show up with your laptop. To show up with the link ready to show us, music ready. It's just like, I've been around rappers who are the most talented. And I found their song. Right. You go to meet with them in the studio, they're showing up with more weed than records. Right. And you're like, I don't need that. I'm fine. I don't need... Right. I'm good, bro. Like, I came here to, like, learn about you. Right. And I don't mean about your music taste. If you have questions, ask them. But it's just a weird thing. It's like professionalism gets people so far, whether they're getting a favor or not. Right. I think my mentor... He became my mentor off of a favor. Right. Him and my mom managed an artist, and that was my mom's side job. She was, again, doing a favor for the artist. So a professional manager and this woman who sells cosmetics, but is very good at business, they're doing this thing. They do pretty well. Some things happen with the artist, though. Right. All right, we got to stop that business. I asked, when I start getting into this world and getting into management, hey, can I meet with Timmy? That's his name. My mom goes, all right, well, he's in L.A. I'll see what I can do. First time I'm out there at Glendale Galleria, I bring my artist and my business partner at the time. And flat out loud, while talking, because my artist was kind of a pessimist, but he flat out says, why are you doing this for us? Timmy wasted no time. His favor for his mom. That was 4 years ago. Now, I went to Long Beach a week ago to help out my cousin. Just text him
just to see how he was doing. I didn't even know if I was going to see him that weekend or not, because I know he's busy. He tells me, hey, real quick, send me that thing you were working on, that script you were working on. I'm meeting with so-and-so, you know what I'm saying? It's just like,
right.
That's a relationship that now the favors have nothing to do with my mom, nothing to do with that. It's all about our relationship.
Right.
If I came in there super relaxed, like, oh man, this is my mom's friend, we finna kick it. Nah, man, it would have never even got to a second.
Yeah. Let
alone 4 years later.
Yeah.
It's like, whether it's a favor or you're meeting on strictly business, these relationships are important. You know what I'm saying? They're very important, and they can grow. And to the point about when your sister came in, is like, man, I didn't know I was gonna talk that long when I was talking to her. But she was intelligent and talented and really professional, that you're like, no, you need to get every hidden gem that no one's gonna tell you, because no one's gotten that far. And that's just real. To me, that's the most important thing, is a lot of what I do, even if it's the podcast, I'm saying things that are music industry, like, jargon. Like, we had a whole episode was like, what's the top 3 rollouts in music?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What's the top 3 promotional rollouts in music? You're not gonna get that on Complex. But it's about part of these relationships I have with people are like, I mean, there's some things that we just think is just, I make a song, put it on Spotify, let's hope the fans listen. Nah, there's 4 more steps that you skipped, and that's why my relationships are fun,
right?
Because I'm learning, and then I'm also giving game,
right?
And it's great.
Right.
It's a great thing, and I think that's what you said about the whole 50 Cent power thing. The biggest thing I'm known for doing, especially when it comes to the studio rat, shout out to Smuggler's Cove, I'll pay for somebody's first session.
Right.
I'll do it if I care. If I don't care, no, that's $40 an hour, dude. Right. But if I care, it's, yeah, man, I'll pay for it. Shoot, the engineer might even say before I get there, oh, this one's free. But it's part of that whole thing comes from, if we see growth, and trust me, that don't mean financial. That's a big misconception about us as people. And by us, I mean just people who work in this field and have platforms. A person who's doing the films for me right now, who's my camera guy, I asked him straight up, yo, what's your rate? I'll pay it. He was like, let's grow. Let's grow first. Right, and it's like, that's beautiful, man. And when you hear about the Trey Songz 50 Cent thing, it's like, when I heard, just like you, I may not like this version. I love the story behind it. Because I have a whole project, a whole musical project, where I may be on the mic twice, but it's 8 songs. Those are all favors. Yeah. Every single verse you'll hear, every beat you'll hear on that project is a favor. So trust me, I understand Fifth on that one. Because that's the important thing about relationship, is like favors go a long way, because it shows that there's some mutual respect there. And mutual being fond of each other. You know what I mean?
Cool. Hey man, this has been a very really deep, insightful interview.
Man, I try. I try to think about this a lot.
Yeah, I really appreciate you lending this insight.
One thing I can say before any type of wrap up is, if you're a person who you want to be Mike, you want to be myself, you want to be anything, the biggest thing is stop with the research. If you've done enough, you'll know. Stop with the I'm still learning. No. Go do some things. You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to school for it, your best research is failure.
100%.
I remember my first time as an audio engineer in a session. The dude behind me was like, "Do you know what you're doing?" And keep in mind, I had just dropped out of school to do an internship that I didn't complete. But because I thought I was hot shit and got a job already in a studio that my rappers were getting, and that was part of the deal, it was like, hey, your rappers could get in here for free, but you have to be an employee.
Right.
I was like, perfect deal.
Yeah, why not?
I get to be an engineer, and the artists I have on the label get this for free.
Worth it.
1, 2.
Yeah.
First paid session I have, the dude says, "Do you know what you're doing?" And I did, but it was like I was going so slow. I was asking him, "Oh, does this sound good? Does this sound good?" He's like, "Dude, you're the engineer. You should be telling me it sounds good." And after working with that dude for a week, I realized that no, my confidence isn't in his isn't in his approval and a reassurance.
Right.
Go do it. If you're a filmmaker, go. These have amazing film quality on them. These phones
we're shooting this on an iPhone right now.
I was stunned when you pulled that out. I was stunned because I was like, I watched the other two that I've seen, the Will and then what's the woman?
Papia.
Oh, great fucking interview, man. When you pulled out the iPhone, I was like, mind blown. I'm like, I'm doing something right to get this one. We have the same lapel.
Yeah.
Like, go do. Stop spending your money on the club for 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Don't spend no money on the club. Spend it on a tripod. Spend it on something. If you're a musician, I've literally... Brevin Rowan, go check out his music. A lot of big things coming for him that I can't even say because of legal binding contracts. But he was literally in the kitchen making beats. And we had Lovey, who's a rapper and videographer here. This is all last night.
Yeah.
They were in the kitchen making beats off the laptop and just rapping. And if you go down the hall to the left, we turned a 15-year-old's bedroom into a studio.
Yeah.
You don't need professional stuff, guys. You just need... The research you did, trust me, is enough.
Right. It's all about application.
Go do. Because there's many people who have went to school for this, who I know went to school for this. And they're wondering why they don't have a job. Have you applied?
Yeah.
Have you took your photography skills to a magazine? Have you took it anywhere? Have you asked a stand-up comedian, can I shoot your show? If you're a stand-up comedian, if you're a person who wants to be a personality, hey, you know how many hosting gigs there are?
Right.
You work in tech. How many times do you guys hire DJs?
All the time. We're looking for one right now.
And DJs always tell me, "Oh, this club won't hire me, bruh."
Right.
Fuck the club. I'm sorry. Like I get it. They might give you an every Saturday gig. It's gonna be the least training you'll ever get.
Right.
At least at a tech company, you know, I need to play all hits. I need to play all radio, and then throw in, this is how we do it.
Yep. And maybe the electric slide.
Depending on what type of time we're on.
Yeah.
But trust me, this is how we do it. A little bit of this, nothing but a G thing. Man, this is popping. You can learn how to DJ by DJing one tech event. Because the music the playlist makes itself. They probably have 3 Apple playlists just for parties like that.
Yep.
Go do. I know for me, doing is the best thing possible.
Yeah.
And on a project I'm working on now, with this sports media stuff, it's like, I was nervous as hell because they're high school kids. These are high school kids. These aren't people who know their real future. They don't know. But you're showing up on their campus with a camera and a lapel and basically saying, hey, we're going to interview you about your season.
Right.
I was so nervous because I'm not that kind of guy. But I had to go. I went there. I went on campus and show improved. To the point where I show up yesterday for this game that they were having, and people are ready to give me, like, they're ready for their interview.
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay, going in, that's how people know you do what you do.
Right.
Is by going to do.
Right.
And I guess I can end it on this. Jerry Seinfeld has one of the best quotes. His first time doing stand-up, he just went on. It was an open mic, but it was an open mic at midnight.
Okay.
So, for those of you who don't know, usually open mics, they happen right when the comedy club opens, and they're basically passing time before the guy who's about to make money for this club goes on. So for 2 hours, we're just filling time. At midnight, though, that means this is the headline. You are the headliner. Any open micer who goes on at midnight, you are the headliner. Because those people are paying the drinks, minimums. He goes on and gets booed by every drunk person. This is Jerry Seinfeld, one of the most famous comedians in the world. He gets booed. And his friend who went there with him as moral support goes, man, that went pretty bad. Like, how you feeling, dude? Like, are you okay? Like, what are you gonna do next? And he's like, I don't know, but I'm a comedian now. I'm one of the guys. And the dude says, you just bombed. Yeah, but like, I never said I was good.
Right.
I'm a comedian now. And even in that statement, that's funny. But it's real as hell.
Right.
The moment I got behind the board and became an engineer, no, I wasn't learning to be an engineer anymore. No, I'm here. I'm behind this. Just like I said earlier, when the dude said, do you know what you're doing? The scary part is I did. But I was so stuck in the mind state of, oh, you're novice.
Right.
Nah, man, you're an engineer now. Go be it.
Right.
Take that confidence level, and even if you fail, you know what's going to happen if you fail? He's just not going to use your work and go somewhere else.
Right.
If you fail as a stand-up, you get booed, and guess what? You got to come back next night. Right. If you fail in anything you do, what you know, especially in these business meetings, if you fail, you can't sit around in that car for 2 hours and go, well, damn, I'm not a businessman. Right. I'm really not an entrepreneur. I'm not a businessman. I'm not anything. You can't do that. Because the moment you do, Mike's Brews doesn't happen. Right. The moment I do Channel 88, Studio 8, a blunt conversation, anything I've done never happens. Go do, man. It's the best thing you can. It's the best thing you can do with your time. Is do what you want. Going back to the first thing, I do what I want, not as some, I'm the best, I do what I want, fuck everybody. Nah. I do what I want because if I don't, I'm everything I don't want. Right.
Cool, I think.
Man.
Appreciate it a lot.
Hey, shout out this dude, man. Keep following this dude. He's a smart guy, man, and I take notes from him even when he's not watching. But I'm TrizzyEBaby, man.
Hey, yo, it's Mike Lee. Peace.
Peace.